He was the divine falcon that sat upon the throne of ancient Egypt. Hunted in the marshes as a child, he competed against the wicked god Seth for the crown. In the process, he decapitated his mother and almost precipitated a war between the gods themselves. Today, on the Ancient Egyptian, we take a look at Horus, god of the Pharaohs. Using his Egyptian name, Hor, it meant face or distant. Later modified to Horet, he became the distant face of the sky, the falcon who soared highest and flew furthest. His face was the representation of the sky, his left eye the moon, and the right the sun. He was worshipped as the great Horus and Horus the Elder, whom the Greeks called RaHorus, the sky god who predated mankind and manifested as a falcon. With Horus's existence going back to pre-Unification, his story would be the story of Egypt. Two rival cities claim to be the first to establish his cult. The first is the now lost city of Bedet in the Western Nile Delta in Lower Egypt. Here, Horus was depicted as a hawk-headed man, ready with weapons and to go to war. Based on inscriptions at his later cult center of Edfu, it is claimed the followers of Horus marched south as far as Nubt in Upper Egypt, defeating the followers of Seth, thereby spreading his cult. We will cover this battle in the next video. But Bedet had a rival. The competing claim on Horus's origins was in the town of Nekhen, 80 kilometers south of Thebes in Upper Egypt. You may know it by a different name. The Greeks called it Hierakonpolis, the city of the hawk, home to the earliest temple found so far in Egypt. It was the center of power for the rulers of Upper Egypt. The falcon Nekheni, the Nekhenite, portrayed with two plumes on his head, was the pre-dynastic forerunner to Horus. Horus's power marched northward with the likes of King Scorpion and Narmer, who may have been the same person. This is shown on the Narmer palette, where a falcon is perched on a papyrus plant, from which a human head protrudes. A rope tied through the nose of the head is held by a hand projecting from the falcon's breast. This is interpreted as Horus bringing the people of Lower Egypt as captives to the king of Upper Egypt, one of the momentous moments of unification. What we can be certain of is that Horus had achieved the status of royal guard long before Narmer's conquest. In the north, he had migrated to the power center of Buto and became deeply intertwined with the ruler. The rulers were later referred to as the Souls of Pe, Pe being another name for Buto, always portrayed by a falcon. These would be represented on temple walls on the one side of the pharaoh, or in a kneeling pose with the right fist raised, known as the Henu pose. It was meant as a salute and celebration of the dignity and authority of the pharaoh. First mentioned in the pyramid text of the Old Kingdom, this belief would continue for another 1,000 years, well into the Nubian Kushite rule after the New Kingdom. The other statue, or jackal-headed figures, were known as the Souls of Nekhen. Now, why do you ask, is a jackal representing the rulers of Upper Egypt? Your first guess of that jackal being Anubis is unfortunately wrong. Jackals were seen more generally as the keeper of the periphery of chaos, the desert, as Egyptian cemeteries they raided were always nearby. They were also synonymous with previous rulers, as the jackals dwelt where they were buried. Together, the falcon kept order and balance in the Nile Valley, and the jackals held back chaos from the desert. This was the de facto job description for the pharaoh. In short, to maintain Ma'at, personified by the winged goddess, to provide order and prevent chaos. Throughout Egyptian history, these two figures would together guarantee this objective. So now Horus reigned supreme in the living land of Egypt, but what of his mythological status? Well, once again, Horus would have a rival for ultimate divine authority, this time from another falcon, Ra of Heliopolis. This was the city of the sun and obelisks, one of which now sits in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican after being taken by the Roman Emperor Caligula. It is a testament to the precision of Egyptian craftsmen and engineers that the monument to date has never fallen. Heliopolis also sat adjacent to the pharaoh's new city of Memphis, formerly known as White Walls. The issue was over ownership of the sun. The ancient Egyptians associated the sun with creating all life. Horus was at this point a god of the sky and Ra the sun, but Horus held royal power, and the priests held divine power. Therefore, a compromise to tie the cults of Horus and Ra would be politically advantageous for the pharaoh and the priests. The fusion of the two gods was known as RaHorus, the god of the sun wearing the double crown of the pharaohs. This representation is most famously shown in the inner sanctum of the temple of Abu Simbel, built by Ramesses the Great during the New Kingdom. But for a lot of Egyptian history, these gods would be separate entities. Now, as always with ancient Egyptian mythology, details and devotion would hinge on when and where you ask someone, as cults evolved, merged, and migrated over time, giving rise to theological paradoxes and conflicting beliefs. The vast majority of the gods of ancient Egypt were local village gods, never leaving the village limit, and remaining pretty much the same. Only a few actually managed to, such as Amun of Thebes during the New Kingdom. Horus, on the other hand, because he was a national god with multiple origin myths like we've discovered, did undergo several reimaginings, the most important of which is his backstory. Heliopolitan orthodoxy, while not the exclusive regime for belief, did hold the most widespread interpretation of Horus, due to its proximity to secular and royal power. In it, he is recorded as the son of the goddess Isis and god Osiris. Separated from the creator god Ra, he was portrayed as a child in the marshes of the Nile Delta, hunted by his evil uncle Seth, who had murdered his father Osiris. Horus the child, known as Harpocrates to the Greeks, would grow and go on to bring the gods to the brink of war and stop at nothing to win the Egyptian throne from the usurper Seth. Next time, the contendings of Horus and Seth will rock the Egyptian pantheon like never before. An underwater breathing contest and a decapitation will push the gods to breaking point. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and supporting the channel. Please hit like, drop a comment, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a future episode.